Hi, and welcome to the Flex with Aaliyah. Today, I'm talking about holiday travel and how to get your training in. Even if you're not traveling, dealing with the holidays sometimes can be stressful when it comes to including your training. You have family coming or friends coming, and it gets a little complicated sometimes, or maybe stressful. Today, I have Vivian Tran joining me to help discuss this topic. So, thank you, Vivian, for joining.
Thanks for having me again, Olivia.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are your holiday plans? Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're not.
I am not traveling for Thanksgiving, but I will for Christmas. I will go to Sierra Vista, Arizona. That's where my parents are. If we want to talk about training, though, about like how I get around that, especially because on Thanksgiving Day, most things are closed and or gyms have, reduced hours. I either there's a couple ways to do this because I am a coach. I have a separate training plan that I follow, and so I do make arrangements with my coach if I have to shuffle things around. I mean, I think that's usually the easiest thing, and maybe a lot of athletes listening do the same thing on a regular basis anyway. Sometimes we have to get creative too. So if um or traveling, because I haven't traveled for Thanksgiving. I've always made use of hotel gyms because I get to plan that in advance. I get to choose where I want to go. I do a lot of research with my hotels. And for listeners, you didn't know this, but I also travel for my job too. Um, and so I'm very mindful. I do all my research of like, where are all the tracks or public tracks so I can do my speed work. I do look at the hotel gyms and see like what they have there. I'll ask. I will do some reconnaissance on the area to see about running routes and trails.
As you said, some gyms have limited hours or they're not open. And even if you're not traveling, keeping that in mind, if you utilize a gym, maybe you're going over to your family early and now the time that the gym's open, you don't have access to. Or you have to go in the evening, but then a lot of people tend to be having, especially for Thanksgiving, dinner around that late afternoon, evening time. Really, everyone has their own traditions, so it's variable.
Right.
I know for me, I do travel for Thanksgiving because my family's not around here. And it was interesting that you said you look at hotels. And when I travel, I stay at my family's house. So I actually don't have access to a hotel. And on top of that, they live in the middle of nowhere in Vermont. So I don't even have access really to like an Anytime Fitness, a Planet Fitness, a regular gym. And I'm definitely one to I bring workout equipment. I've packed my car because I drive with a kettlebell, dumbbells, wall balls, a slam ball. I try and take things that don't take up a lot of space, but I'll utilize for multifunction. I can do a cardio workout with it. I can lift with it, upper body, lower body, a little variety. And so I don't have that gym access there. I mean, if I stay here, I have my gym, which I have access to, which wouldn't be impossible at all, but then just trying to work it in.
Right. Right.
And last year, I actually was in Vermont and I looked up a local CrossFit gym and I drove to New Hampshire to go to a CrossFit class Thursday morning beforehand because they were open. And I was like, yep, we're doing that. We're just going to get up early. We're going to drive there. We're going to do it. And we're going to come back. Cross it off my list. I think when you're running, it's a little bit easier because you can just go outside even if you don't have access to a track and utilize roads and stuff like that. Do you encounter any of those issues or not since you utilize the gym?
Cool. I love that you brought up that you bring your own equipment when you're driving. And I do the same thing. So I always have a rucksack. I always have like resistance bands. I have like my weight belt. I get to go to a gym. I don't carry dumbbells around. I used to. But yeah, that's something to be cognizant of. Like if you know that you don't have access to a gym or the hotel you're staying at sucks, yeah, then bring your own equipment. But that's if you're in driving distance. See, what if somebody has to fly across the country? And then what? And not only do they have to fly across the country, but they're also going somewhere rural. So they're in that same situation that you are. So now they can't bring their own stuff unless they want to check a bag full of weights. Maybe at this point, maybe they're going to have to get creative with like body weight stuff and just finding things to do that you can use like as a pull-up bar or, start to love push-ups. Start to love bounding and lunges, right? Because I think you can get that muscular endurance workout. But you might not be, I mean, obviously you're not going to be doing your heavy loads that you would do in the gym with your deadlifts and your back squats. But
Yeah, absolutely not.
I think it's a nice time though, maybe even, because the holidays is supposed to be a time where we are with family. We're relaxing. We're not feeling guilty about.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What family do you have that you're relaxing during the holidays? Ha!
That was the intent. That's what we're supposed to do.
Oh, okay. What they were supposed to do.
But maybe though, it's also a time for us to, I was like soften your training, but maybe get creative with it and like you don't have to do like the heavier loads. Maybe it does give you an opportunity to do something different. Especially if you're not running as much, maybe you can run in different terrain. Maybe you can. Like I said, one of the things I enjoy doing lately just to kind of like strengthen my quads is like more bounding. I don't get a lot of trails here. I'm in an urban area, and so I have to travel kind of far, like on the weekends, in order to access them. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's whatever my coach gives me. I would just have to say like, okay, I got to substitute it with something else that's going to help me develop something, right? So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about people that fly?
Well, with people who have to fly, that's actually not as complex as you think with bringing equipment. Sure, like I'm not packing a sandball, but easy things to bring are exercise bands because you can do stability work with the small exercise bands, strengthening your glutes and some other lower body muscles, a jump rope, TRX, and you're doing a different type of workout with that equipment. And it's not maybe weighted because you could bring a weighted jump rope and it not take a lot of room. So I think there are things you can absolutely bring when you're traveling across the country because I've done that. And I actually had a friend who was flying across the country and she did bring a pull bar that she could put in a doorway. So it was collapsible though, so it was easy to put in her bag. Now, if you have one that doesn't easily collapse, that would obviously be a lot harder. And then on top of that, because, when I'm going to Vermont, sometimes I don't have certain equipment. And you had said, oh, you can use the thing, be creative. I've done pull-ups on a tree. I've had to make sure that the branch was sturdy, but, or like you had said, and I totally agree, the body weight. There's so many body weight movements. And I believe that there's plenty of people out there when it comes to the holidays, just throw it to the wind and be like, nah, they use it as an excuse to not do training. That doesn't mean it's going to look like what you do when you are at a gym, but it's easy to just be like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I can't bring that. Oh, I can't do this. But there's so much you could do. Like in our sport, OCR, obstacle course racing, strengthening our core. You could just do like a 10-minute easy core workout at home, wherever you are. That includes planks or wall sits, side planks, variations of things that don't require any equipment or too much thought, but it does require effort. And then you also made the comment about the coach that you're like, oh, my coach might give me something and then I'll adjust it. Now I know for my clients, when I have holidays coming up, I reach out to them and ask them, hey, what are your holiday plans? Some of them are traveling, some of them are not. Their schedules might change. I can't work out this day, or hey, I'm going here, but this is all I can bring or have access to. And then I create the workout that coincides with those plans and that schedule. So I had a guy who next week he's doing a turkey trot on Thursday, can't do Friday like he normally does, and wants to do a team workout with his wife on Saturday. So then I plan that as he's able to, because then it's not, from my coaching standpoint, it's not beneficial to give them something that they can't do. And I feel like as that's my job, if I'm training them, to make those modifications for them. Now, sometimes they might have to make that on their own if something comes up, but usually they'll reach out like, oh, hey, I don't have access to a pull-up bar or such and such, because they look ahead, which some athletes do, some athletes don't, But I think it's really easy to just not get it in. And I know for me, that's what keeps me sane during the holidays. When I'm with my family, I keep part of my routine as much as possible because I just like it. And then it makes me be less stressful and able to relax when it's time to.
I think you just gave your listeners an out of like family stressful situations. They're like, look, I gotta hit a workout. Like, I don't have time for this. Yes. And people who are listening are likely the ones like that person in the family, right? That like, oh, they're super fit and they always are racing, or they're training, or they're eating very healthy. And so yeah, it's not like not believable that you would go and go do a workout. But I think for the most part, yeah, it is everybody's way to relax during the holidays to keep up with our training.
Yep. That's why I think it's very beneficial and keeps you on track, because I know people who come back from vacation like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gaining 10 pounds. And it was like, well, did you do this or did it? No. Well, then you have to take responsibility for that. That doesn't mean you need to be crazy and go run a marathon every day or adjust your program to your schedule. But don't just be like, I'm not going to work out for 7 days, because you're going to feel it the next week. You're going to feel like shit. I've probably had days like that. I haven't worked out for 7 days, but even when I go away for a short period of time, I feel the difference when it's even just 3 days and it's not my normal schedule. But for some people, they might also need to take that break if they're not giving themselves that recovery time. This also might be a good time for that. But you have to self-assess and be honest with yourself. A lot of people aren't honest with themselves, and they're like, nah, I need this recovery. It's like, do you?
Like a lot of you feel like a lot of your athletes, or that athletes, that they feel like because it's the holidays, because gyms are closed, that they just can't possibly do the workouts and training that they usually do.
I think some people, though, not all.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be, to think that everybody feels that way. No, I think it's easy. That's like, hey, there's a cake in front of you. Don't eat it. And you're like, I kind of want the cake, but I know I don't really want the whole cake. Do I take a piece of cake or do I not take a piece of cake? It's like a temptation of like, ooh, it's making it easier not to work out, to not train. And I think people might be more likely to not get it in during the holiday time, especially when they're traveling. Even if they're not traveling, I think it just makes it easier and less likely for them to engage in that physical activity.
No, I agree. I think another thing that influences people is that, this is their time to really enjoy Thanksgiving and the food, because everybody's in it for the food.
I was going to be like, yeah, it's supposed to be about family or the harvest, but it's really all about the food.
It's about the food. And yes, the side thing is that we're thankful for everything. Just to delve into a little bit of nutrition, what are your recommendations for your athletes? Do you just say, eat as much as you want, go crazy, like just enjoy yourselves, or keep it in control with your intake? What are your recommendations?
My recommendations are pretty much always, I don't want to say always, but I'm going to enjoy yourself, but don't overindulge. There is a big difference in the overindulgence, and a lot of people during the holidays, ooh, look at this alcohol, look at this cake, look at these cookies, and people just putting things out throughout the day, and it's so accessible, and you might find yourself picking. And am a firm believer that you should enjoy yourself. Don't sit at the table and be like, I really wish I had pumpkin pie, and then you're not taking any. There's no reason you couldn't have the pie and try the other pie, but maybe you're just not taking as big as slices. That's kind of like the balance of it. And another tip I would give people is, okay, on Thanksgiving, because that's the holiday coming up, what is it that I really want to eat that I know my family is going to make? Is it the turkey? If you're a ham eater, is it the ham, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, the sweet potato pie, the casserole? What is it? Okay. Now you kind of have an idea that maybe Thanksgiving dinner, you might eat a little bit more than you normally would. Okay. The things that people are less likely to consume nutritionally on that day are protein. They're going to get the fats, they're going to get the carbs, but the amount of protein that they eat is probably going to be less than what they normally do. So I would encourage my athletes that in the morning, try to get some extra protein in and maybe don't have as many carbs. If you have eggs and toast in the morning, maybe just have eggs or eggs and one piece of toast instead of two. Because you're going to have the biscuit, you're going to have the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, all these other carb-like things. So instead of restricting yourself at dinner where you're like, oh, I wish I had that, you're preparing. And I say that the same thing if you're going to a wedding or you have an event, is you focus on getting your protein in kind of in the morning and then enjoy yourself in the afternoon or the evening, whatever the dinner or event is.
I'm hearing about the traditional Thanksgiving meals because actually my parents usually travel from Arizona to Texas. They drive here and they have Thanksgiving with us. And my sister will visit from California. My brother's in Dallas. And actually, we had Vietnamese food. So, like my dad makes his Vietnamese beef stew. He'll make this thing called babia, and it's like spring rolls, but there's jicama, there's baked fish, ground peanuts, nuts, and basil. What else do you do? He hasn't made pho. I know a lot of people eat pho, but we don't usually eat that a lot. More. He'll make his fried rice. It's awesome. It's great food, but it's actually protein. So yes, I understand that. Like for traditional Thanksgiving meals, yeah, a lot of pie, a lot of carbs. As not to say that I haven't had traditional Thanksgivings at all, but yeah, no, that's interesting. Like I feel like I've always had more protein than anything else. And even like when it's turkey, like I want more turkey on my plate than I do the biscuit or the mac and cheese or something like that. I guess I'm just like carnivorous.
Well, I think that's a good point that everyone has slightly different Thanksgivings. I will say, maybe just in your examples, the only protein I really heard was the fish, because you have the rice, and it's not like you're not measuring it out. Most likely it's not a quarter cup of rice, which is actually would be like about a serving. Sometimes maybe a half a cup of rice, and the peanuts are fat. And usually the things that we're cooking, they are higher in fat because of how they're made, unless they're all baked. To a degree, that's not all foods, but in general, I think even given other ethnicity dinners, there's a higher level of fat content and carb content because there's so many things that are carb related that you eat throughout the day. Even if you're like, oh, I eat the turkey. I mean, I like the turkey too. I might put it on my plate and I'm not going to eat it because I'll get full really quickly. And the appropriate amount when you're eating all these things, it's not going to be a balanced meal because you're like, ooh, I like this. I like that fried rice. I'd rather have more fried rice than this fish or the peanut dish that you talked about or these vegetables.
There could be stew in there. I got all the protein in there.
You did, you know,
I know.
but
Yeah, I get it. I get it though.
there's diversity in what everyone is having. You know, obviously I'm more familiar with the traditional Thanksgiving of turkey, not ham, because I know there's definitely people who have ham. And then Southern, similar style, but different. I've never once had mac and cheese at Thanksgiving. When I heard that, I was like, really? That's not a Thanksgiving thing. But everyone's slightly different. But pay attention when you eat. And you might be surprised that even though you're like, oh, I like meat on a general scale, and also you might be more conscious about it, just like me. And then it's natural to eat a certain way. But for the everyday athlete, they're probably not eating like that, so much so that it's ingrained in like, oh, I'm at this dinner, nothing changes, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, at the same time, it's like what we were talking about earlier. You know, it is time to, it is time to be a family. And it's time to have a holiday and to try to relax and to rest. So there's some lenience with our diet, nutrition, but also as well as our workouts. It's not to say that we can't still, you know, tackle our quality workouts. I think we just get creative with them, or we just kind of alternate days and try to make time for, you know, family and holidays and getting things done. Uh,
Yep, but
but
everything is,
it doesn't derail you. I think that's a good point to make. It doesn't derail our progress.
yes, one day isn't going to throw everything in the trash. So even if you are a little gluttonous, it's not going to hurt you. Now, if you're like every day and you go on like a binge, yep, you're not going to feel the best the next week, but you'll get back on track. It would just might take a couple of days to feel less like poo, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah. And that's pretty much kind of the holiday thing in a nutshell. You want to be a little flexible with your training plan. Don't be so stringent that you do an all or nothing plan where if I can't work out, I'm not going to do anything. Okay. But also be conscious of the time that you have with your family. Maybe you don't have a family and you're on your own. You do want to spend the whole time working out and in your way. That's totally fine too. Because not everybody is traveling to see family, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And people have Friendsgivings too, and yeah, or they're like really far away from their families. So yeah, they have to get creative too.
Mm-hmm. So I'd say the main tips would be focus on having fun, be flexible and not too stringent with your workouts. Prepare yourself. If you are traveling across the country and you have a jump rope or a TRX, maybe think about bringing it. Or if you're driving, what is maybe 2 items that you could bring with you so it doesn't take up so much space in the car? And then lastly is be aware of your nutrition. That doesn't mean restrict yourself. Just don't be so gluttonous. Enjoy yourself, but not at an overindulgence way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And actually, also, if you're an OCR athlete and you purchase grips from Race Ready Obstacles, you can bring some of your grips and attach them to monkey bars on a playground. That's another thing.
Absolutely. I will say I've traveled with a group before and TSA stopped me.
What?
Yes, they stopped me. They opened up my bag and they're like, what is this? I was like, it's a grip. And the one woman was like, I don't understand. What is that? And the other TSA guy was like, it's for working out. She's like, I don't know what that is. And they had to like scan it, swipe it, and then it got through. Almost every time, my lacrosse ball, They stopped me because I have a lacrosse ball. I'm like, oh my goodness, really? So you might have to deal with some TSA issues bringing grips or lacrosse balls. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, you're gonna think about your grip. So now that I brought it up, can't bring the cannonballs. You might not want to bring the nunchucks.
Yep.
What grip was it that they were like? Was it like a cannonball grip or was it like a T-bar or
I think it was a brick.
it was one of the bricks? Okay.
And then it was packaged up too. Like it was still in its container. Like I had it in like a little box and they had to cut it open, look inside. I was like, oh, man. But yeah, bringing grips or even figuring out a way at wherever you are to use, like if you can use the back of stairs somewhere or hold like a pot with water out in front, something like that. That is, it seems silly. It's like that Stein hoisting competition that, Rugged Maniac used to have. That definitely fires up your arm for sure.
There you go. So you can get creative with like grocery trips.
Oh, when I go up to Vermont, my mom's like, "We've been waiting to move this wood since for you to arrive." And so then I'm just like the mule doing like chores now around the house that they had to wait for me to do. So that's all bonus housework workout.
Yeah, so that's the negative of all of this. It's like now that you're the fittest person, you're the one that wants to train all the time. You're gonna be the workhorse now, and it's gonna make you do.
Yep, absolutely. Carry this heavy pot downstairs into the other freezer, and vice versa. But yeah, you just want to have fun. Don't overanalyze what you're doing or stress too much. So thank you, Vivian, for joining me today. Would you like to give any shout outs?
I mean, to the pro team, of course, but also just to this whole year, right? To all the athletes this whole year, we had a great season. And so I thank every single person that I've raced with, that I've got to enjoy all these different races with. It's been awesome.
I know. I'm really thankful for this season and how it kind of ended after like a freak elbow dislocation. But everyone that I met this year that I hadn't met previously, so new friends, old friends that I get to see only at races, it's always really exciting. And I'm really thankful for those experiences that I get to have because organizations are putting on events, which I love. So thank you, all of you guys. So, Mud Gear, Strong as Oak, Race Ready, Frontline, and you're awesome. You have OCR Buddy. So many different organizations and people out there are keeping this community going, and it's fantastic.
I agree.
So, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, however you celebrate. And I'll catch you the next time on the Flex with Leah. Thank you.